So the next thing I was going to ask you about, you're making these calls on that first Sunday that you start calling people. You've never done real estate. You've never bought a house. You've never flipped a house. You've never talked to a tenant or landlord. How do you know what to say? And what do you say? Give me an example. Walk me through.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, there's scripts online, and you can have ChatGPT build one out for you. But, it should be as simple as, hey, my name is Anton. Is this Mr. or Mr. Seller? I'm calling you about your property at 123 Main Street.
Sure.
Are you selling the property? If they are selling the property, okay, great. I just wanted to ask you a few questions about the property. Get conditions. What are the conditions? I get the basics. Ask them to walk you through the house. After that, you basically want to ask them everything you would want to know if you were actually buying it yourself, so that way you can come up with the most accurate offer possible. You want to make sure that, you know about the neighborhood, how long it's been vacant for, if it's occupied, if it's tenant occupied, what they're paying, how long they've been there for, if they want to stay, if they're going to leave. You want to ask all these questions so that we you can tell the investors all of this when they ask you that. And after that, you can either, put them on a quick little hold, to come up with an offer, right? And
do you recommend putting an offer out in that same conversation?
I would say so. I would put in the same conversation. I mean, I've done it where I called them back, but if you already had that 10, 15-minute conversation with them, you have an idea. Well, they want to definitely sell, and you already have them like on the phone, and they're already kind of invested, because people make decisions off emotion. As long as they're invested in the conversation and they're okay with you putting them on a 1 to 2 minute hold, they're really powerful, because then you can also hear and listen to them, to what they're going to say. Like, hey, honey, like, what if they offered me 80 grand? Are we going to take it? You know what I mean? You kind of, and you're like,
people say shit like that?
Yeah, you're like a fly on the wall.
Awesome.
Like, people have said it, like, hey, like, this guy's offering us, come on, like, come here. And then, like, you already have their husband and a wife on there, so you know that they want an offer. You know that they want to sell.
That's cool.
Giving the offer is really about selling, you want to sell the sizzle, not the state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you want to sell the offer, and not just the number, but how you bring the offer, right? You want to tell them, hey, Mr. Seller, like, this is my first deal that got approved, this whole entire week. Like, this is amazing. Like, I'm so happy, my underwriters. And you always want to blame it, not on yourself, on the underwriter or the manager, right?
Yeah.
This is what they came up with. This is what they did, right? You want to put yourself on the seller's side. You want to make sure that you're on their team. You guys are a team working against your manager, working against your underwriter. You might not have anybody there. Obviously, it is just you, right? I always blame it on someone else, because it's a lot easier to talk to, say, hey, Mr. Seller, like, don't be upset. Like, me and you are on the same team. What kind of number are you looking for? Let me see if I can go and get it for you, right? Let me see if I can go fight for every dollar I can get you.
Yeah.
And you tell them that, and it makes them feel a lot more comfortable, right? Because you want to take
on their advocate.
Yeah, exactly. You want to bring down their guard, to where they're comfortable to actually doing business with you. And like another saying, you don't need to know how to sell people at all. You just need to know how to comfort them and how to make them feel comfortable enough to do a deal with you. This might be your first deal, and you can tell them, hey, this is my first deal. But if you're,
I was going to ask you about that. Like, as far as like, you've been doing this for a while now, so you've got confidence about this, I'm sure. I don't even need to hear you on the phone with a guy to know that you're going to be talking with a bunch of confidence, because you closed a bunch of deals. But for someone who's listening to you thinking, there's no way I can talk to somebody, I don't know anything about this. I mean, what would you say to them? What would be your advice?
I would say the best advice I can give you is go into it with the mindset of, how can I help this person?
Okay.
How can I help this person? And I think that would be the best thing to do, because then you will actually be invested in how you can really, truly solve their problem, solve their issue, not just make money on it. If you make it about money, then it's going to be hard to actually do it, because then you're just thinking about
come across as your sleeves, man.
So I think if you go into it, hey, how can I help you out? How can I solve your issue? And how obviously you're going to get paid for it. It's going to be a lot easier for you to talk to them and have this conversation with them, because you want them to open up to you. And then that person you will gain their trust, and it's going to be a lot easier to deal with that. And, they'll obviously be thankful for you. Like I have numbers of some of my sellers that I've spoken to, and I keep my relationships with them because they sell more houses, or they might have someone that wants to sell a house. Sure. Referrals. So
Sure. So do you recommend, I heard you say it's not even off the table to tell somebody, hey, this is my first deal. I'm working through this with you. I want to close this for you.
yeah, you definitely don't want to tell them that, but like,
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you want to be authentic?
no, you want to, no, you don't want
Like you're a veteran in the game.
Yeah, no, honestly, like I would say be yourself.
Sure.
Be yourself. Like that's the best advice I could give you, because you don't need to disclose that information. You know, you don't want to tell them everything. You know, if they ask you, sure, yeah, maybe say this is your third or fourth deal. Don't say it's your first one, but you know, you don't have to lie to the extent where they ask you something and
you're calling a lie.
Yeah, you say, I feel like it sounds worse. But definitely don't be too far off. Like, hey, you know, if you know about a topic, then yes, talk about it. But if you don't know, then don't do it. And it's asking the right questions. If you ask the right questions, you'll actually have the seller talking a lot more than you do. And that's another thing I learned. Just say as least as possible. Because when you keep talking, I feel like you're going to start saying the same thing, and then you're going to repeat yourself. You sure sound a little bit more dumb. And to the seller is going to be like, okay, well, this guy just said this 5 times. You know what I mean? So say it as least as possible, ask the right questions, make the seller talk the whole entire time. And people love talking about themselves. So if you can make the seller talk about themselves and their situation and their house, then you got it.
You're gold. So as far as asking the right questions, now, I guess you bought the course, so you had a script, like you said, of what to ask. And I guess nowadays it's probably stuff you can find on Google, but is there any other place you would recommend people go look at if they're not buying a course? They didn't want to put out $500 to $1,000 for a course right now. What would you say? Is it just Google?
Like I said, again, like I think the best thing is just to ask the questions about the property, like what you would need to know if you're buying your house.
I love that, Mike.
You know, you don't need to have a script. You know, you can make your own little script and write it down to like, hey, first is the intro. Let me introduce myself so they know who they're talking to.
Yeah.
Number 2, let me find out what are the facts. What are the facts about the property? Like, you know, what is it that, you know, like about the property? And number 3, let me find out what is it that makes them want to sell the property. And maybe you can even do that first. What is it about them that, why are they on the phone with me?
Sure.
You know, why did they just pick up the call a second time? Or, you know, why are they continuing this conversation? There's definitely a reason for it, right?
Yeah.
Because anybody that picks up the phone for you and talks with you for more than 10 seconds, there's a reason for that, and there's motivation, regardless if they tell you or not. You just have to dig deep enough to find it.
Sure. That's all. No, it's true. I mean, I know when I get a cold call, I'm immediately.
Exactly. So if someone picks up the phone and talks to you, make sure that you take that as like, okay, this person wants to sell. Let me just find out why.
Yeah.
And you're going to find out about the condition of the property. Most of the time, they're going to go into the condition of the property because they're going to want to sell you on the house. Like I position myself to where, how do I make this person sell me on their own property, sell me on their own thing, right? Obviously. And then after that, just, you know, give them the offer. You have to give the seller the offer, because that is the only way you will get deals, as if you're doing offers. You know, 3 to 5 offers a day, I think anybody could do.
Yeah.
And that should be more than enough, more than 3 to 5 deals a month.
How long do one of these phone calls last on average?
I've had a phone call where I've closed them in less than 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You know, sometimes you're having a really good conversation and you know it's a good deal and you're like, oh my God, this person wants to sell. Hour, half an hour. Like it really, because you can talk about other things too, right?
Sure.
Sometimes these people just need someone to actually just talk to.
Sure. I don't think that has to be fake, honestly. Like you said, if you're going into it with the mindset of somebody's in some type of bind, that's why they need to sell quick or whatever the reasons they need to sell. I'm here to help them through that. So I can respect that. I guess, Mike, so as far as finding people, we kind of covered that. What to say. Sounds like we kind of covered that. And I think that's clear for folks how you go about starting that conversation. Now, once you get the deal, you're sending over the contract, and these contracts, I mean, we said these things were online, or you can buy a course and somebody will have a contract for you.
Yeah.
Is there, if I'm going to find a contract online as far as being legal, tell me a little bit about that. Is there something that I need to do? Do I need to send my contract to a lawyer? Do I need to do anything?
No, you just want to, You just want to send it through DocuSign to the seller, get it signed, and then you want to send it to the title company and be like, hey, you can ask them, be like, hey, does this work as a wholesaler contract? And they'll tell you yes or no. If they say no, like, hey, do you have one I could use? Like, ask questions, ask for help. Don't be afraid. You know, there's so many resources out there. People are just afraid to pick up the phone and call and ask. Like,
and then after you get the contract, I heard you say you didn't, and I love that. You were hyper focused on getting the deal before you even thought about a buyer. If somebody isn't as brave as that to take the risk, where are you looking at for buyers? I mean, I heard you say Craigslist. I don't know that Craigslist is hot now, but
so if you guys have deals, send them to me. I'll help them find a buyer. Honestly, anywhere in the world.
Post your info.
Yeah, honestly, anywhere in the country. But you could also go on Facebook. Like, for example, in Philadelphia, we have Philadelphia real estate investors. We have in Pittsburgh, there's also Philadelphia real estate investors. There's a ton of groups out there. There's guys just looking. A lot of Facebook Marketplace. You know, a lot of people sell everything on their houses, cars, shoes, you know, desks, laptops, everything. You can, you know, Facebook Marketplace is powerful, right? And it's grown a lot in the last 3 years. You know, I know it came out in like 2019, 2018.
Yeah.
But it's huge now.
Is that still your primary way to find? I mean, I know you have.
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely find buyers on Facebook still. Like, I just sold a property in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, through Facebook Marketplace. So you could definitely find them there. Prop Street, same thing. You go on there, you look up the property, and it literally will show you cash buyers. Just make sure you filter out to the buyers that bought it in the last, 2 years, whatever. And just networking. Once again, I focus on finding deals because that's where I bring the value.
Yeah.
And my network is large enough where I can reach out to someone, let's say in Florida. I'm like, hey, I have this deal. Can you move it for me? And they'll do it. You know, we'll split the fee. You know, you eat together, you make money together. There's so much money for everyone to go around.
Gotcha. So I guess it makes sense.
Facebook. Find your buyers on Facebook. Best place.
Primary way to look. I like that. And as you grow, you'll start to develop that buyer list. You'll have certain people that you can go to. It sounds like that you grew over the years.
Yeah. Reach out to other big wholesalers in your market and be like, hey, I have this deal. What do you think about it? They'll tell you, this is a shitty deal or this is a good deal.
Gotcha.
Straight up.
I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please be sure to share it and like it. And if you want to hear the full conversation that we talked about, go ahead, head to the YouTube channel and check it out. The link is in the bio.